when Zeb Wells began his Amazing Spider-Man run about a year ago, it started off with this big thing, this big unanswered question. What did Peter do? Why is everybody angry at Peter Parker? Why is Mary Jane no longer with Peter Parker? Why is she with some guy named Paul and they have kids and all this sort of stuff? You know, it was this big unanswered question that people wanted to know what was going on, what was happening. Well, we finally get the answer as to what happened with all of this in issue 25 of Amazing Spider-Man, titled Whatever Happened to Mary Jane. And this issue really shows what a talentless hack Zeb Wells really is. I mean, you could clearly see that this guy worked on the She-Hulk TV series because, oh my God, really, it's like, you know, Zeb Wells at this point just pulled a Lost, you know, where the writers are Lost started off with something, they had literally no idea how to actually make it work and just threw together some crap at the end and then hope that nobody would actually notice that they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Well, everybody noticed and that should have said it as crap, but still. So let's get into this nonsense. Now, Spider-Man, it starts with Spider-Man battling something, and then in order to save him, Mary Jane ends up sending him back and she remains trapped in this dimension with this Paul guy, right? And you know, so she said that, you know, Peter will come back for her and all this stuff. Okay, so he's gone, dead, and she remains there, you know, to do whatever it is she has to do, right? 3 months pass in this alternate dimension because apparently time moves much faster in this alternate dimension than it does in the 616, right? But 3 months pass in this dimension, and all of a sudden, Mary Jane just turns into freaking Rambo. I'm telling you, she just turns into Rambo. She is jacked as hell. I mean, look at this. She's got biceps, triceps, like shoulder muscles, some big ass muscular legs, and look at that thing. I mean, and then Paul. All of a sudden, Paul, like apparently he's been shooting up with Arnold Schwarzenegger steroids or something. He suddenly looks like he's been hitting the gym for the last 20 years. And not even that, I mean, like I say, Mary Jane look like Rambo. Look at the way she's holding this gun. Like she has been military trained for about almost 2 decades. Like she's an expert now. All of a sudden, they just do this to the character, and you're like, what the hell could possibly have happened in 3 months to do this? Suddenly, she went from Mary Jane Watson, Peter Parker's wife, woman that he loves, you know, brave and all that. All of a sudden, she just turns into freaking girl boss Rambo. In 3 months, she's just suddenly become so badass. And when in literal badassness doesn't end there, right? So, you know, she and Paul set off because the villain, I don't even know the guy's name. I don't even think that they actually mentioned the name, and if they did, I didn't care to know it. But he's just referred to as the Scribble Man, because apparently he has some kind of magical tattoo thing that he puts on his body and then give him power, some kind of weirdness and then I think Spider-Man killed his god or something. It doesn't even care, nobody even bothers about it. So they set off, they're, you know, all badass and whatnot, because that's what they need to do. Then they literally find these 2 kids. The same 2 kids that Mary Jane had. They literally find them in this dimension, right? They just find these children. That's it. They just find these children. So when they do find the children now, they decide to take care of them. Right? So, you know, time passing, they're there, the children and them start to bond with them. Okay, right. A couple more months go by, and once again, Mary Jane is still jacked and getting more jacked. I mean, look at this one, when they're going on about the some symbols, and I think it has something to do with luck and chance, and you know, it's kind of like some kind of jackpot thing that they have to do. They have to match up the right symbols to use powers, and I think this is what gave Mary Jane her powers, although it was never really explained well at all. But I mean, look at this. Mary Jane is just jacked as hell, still, that's what's happening. And, she and Paul just somehow, they just kind of have Mary Jane and Paul just end up together. It's like they just kind of put out, like, if two people are together for 4 years, apparently it's 4 years that she was in this other dimension for, they just end up falling for each other. They don't show any kind of progress of them actually building some kind of relationship. No, they're just in close proximity to each other, and they just end up falling for each other. And it makes no sense. Mary Jane would have waited for Peter Parker. That's pretty much a literal given at this point. She would wait for Peter Parker. That's what she would do. Anybody with half a brain could see that. But no, according to them, because she and Paul are just there with each other, they just end up together, and that's supposed to just make sense. Nothing shows the two of them actually growing into a relationship, anything like that. You understand me? Nothing shows that, but somehow, just because they're there, they just ended up together. I think Zeb Wells literally pulled some kind of lost crap here. He had no idea how to make this whole what did Peter thing do make sense. So he just started throwing random crap on the wall to see what stuck. Yeah. So, time passed and them there, because that is what's supposed to happen. I'm guessing, they just suddenly end up together for some freaking reason. And all of this is going on, and this whole thing involving these symbols and all kind of thing. You don't even know what it is and what's supposed to be going on. That's just what it is. It's really, really stupid. And then Scribbleman shows back up again, and then Peter Parker actually arrives and saves them, because, Mary Jane tried to do something with some kind of weird symbols and all kind of thing. I don't know, it doesn't even freaking work. It's just crap. But like I said, Peter shows up and ends up defeating Scribbleman, and that's what happens. Then we get the big reveal where, Peter is there with Mary Jane, and she's all wait, you've been gone a long time, and then they show up with the thing there, and she tells him, they're my family. Then we get this whole thing with she talking to him after and telling him how, he was gone for almost 4 years. So because he was gone for 4 years, just ended up falling for this Paul guy, and we have no idea why. He don't show any kind of progress. Just sort of supposed to, everybody's just supposed to believe that it just happens. That's how these things work. It just happens. Real nonsense, boy. Absolute and utter crap. And then, because, we need to add more insult to this already insulting comic, the Fantastic Four show up to see Peter Parker, because apparently it's revealed what Peter actually did was when he made it back to his dimension, he was desperate to go and save Mary Jane. And he didn't have time to talk about that, so he just broke into the Fantastic Four tower, took their mini fusion reactor, took a bunch of other stuff from here and there, and then he went to Norman Osborn for help, because Norman Osborn is reformed, which makes no freaking sense, because Peter Parker is already a genius. He could have done it on his own, and that's what happened. And that's why everybody's so pissed at him, because, it doesn't even make sense. When the Fantastic Four show up, they're just ready to throw down. Literally ready to just beat the shit out of Peter Parker. And he's no better. He's like, he's like, the reactor's fried. I used it to bring Mary Jane back. That's all I'm gonna say about that. This doesn't sound at all like Peter Parker. You're literally just turning him into a jackass for some strange reason, and then all of a sudden, he and the Fantastic Four just start throwing down, because that's just supposed to kind of happen. That's it. That's just literally supposed to kind of happen. And then Captain America shows up, and he pretty much rubs it in Peter's face, and he needs help, kind of thing. None of this makes any kind of sense. None of these people are actually acting like how they should act. I mean, if what had happened had actually happened, it most likely they would have come to see him, and Peter Parker would have been like, sorry guys, I didn't have the time. MJ was in serious trouble. I just had to act really fast. I'm sorry about it. And they would have been like, okay, we understand. We've literally all been in situations where you had to act without even a second to think about it because somebody you cared about was in danger and you had to move fast. They've literally all been in that situation. But no, because Zeb Wells wants to turn Peter Parker into the biggest jackass that Marvel has, he decides to turn him into some kind of jerk and make everybody ready to just throw down with him. That's it. That's literally what we got here. So this entire, and then to top it off, to literally top it off, Scribbleman shows up, and he's all talking about how this Scarlet Woman must die. And this is why most people think, it's probably Mary Jane with that. Well, we all know that didn't happen because it turned out to be Ms. Marvel, a character nobody could care less about. This is literally the definition of absolute stupidity. Zeb Wells has gone out of his way to intentionally ruin Spider-Man, and he has literally been happy to do it. Because you have Peter Parker and Mary Jane, a couple that fans love, fan favorite couple. No, you're doing all of this in some weird attempt to get him and Black Cat together, a relationship that nobody's interested in, that never really lasts. And then you have this whole thing with she and Paul. And I mean, is it just me or does anybody else find it the least bit suspicious, right? Just the least bit suspicious that you have this all these things happening. Mary Jane stuck over there. Paul, who seems just a little too much of a pain in the ass to be okay finding these children. I mean, this whole thing setting up. At some point they are going to have to look, because right now Marvel has literally retconned themselves into a retcon that they can't get out of unless they retcon the retcon. That's it. It's absolute and utter stupidity. Issue 25, total nonsense. You destroyed Mary Jane as a character, destroying the relationship between Peter Parker and Mary Jane in a way that makes no sense. You trying to tell me that just because she was together with this guy for 4 years, she's just going to fall into a relationship with him, forget about Peter, and just be like, this is supposed to make sense to literally nobody? Come on now, man. This is absolute and utter crap. And Zeb Wells has shown just how much of a hack writer he really is. Your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, should have hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. You'll be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.